What I like to do is talk about the Montclair
Yeah, up
ski.
the fourth line.
Yeah, so here's the fourth line, and I've got the train on here a little bit elevated, so it's easier to see.
Yeah, that curved road is the road that cost him an arm and a leg to build.
Yeah, and I'm going to rotate this image around so it's a little bit easier to see the let's see, where'd I go?
Wow.
Oh, there we go.
That property was what we call a string 100, a very narrow, long 100 acres, but the frontage on the fourth line was only, less than 1,000 feet. And the clearing there was the width of the farm. The place on the right, that clearing is another place. I knew a lot about that, and I worked there some too, but he had this, set of ski trails in the road. Must have cost $50,000 to bulldoze that road.
so you're talking about coming down through here.
Yeah, right there, right there.
Yeah. And
And
so I'm looking at
Chalet
my,
was,
yeah, I'm looking at my elevation. The bottom down here is about 1,067 feet, and the top of the hill here is about 1,290, almost 1,300 feet.
yeah.
Um,
Put a T-bar on that.
yeah, so you were telling me that the T-bar ran right along this property line here.
Right along the line, you could knock the fence down if you got off the T-bar.
And then did they have any kind of like little rope tow or something down here for beginners area?
I don't remember them having a rope tow. It was, oh, I'm not going to call it seat of the pants, but again, Joe Namofsky was kind of I don't know whether you call him shady, but he had he was a Loretto Ski Club member. He knew the owner probably. And he said, "Oh, I want my own ski resort. So I'm going to go and buy some land and build my own." So he did.
So do you know what year this Montclair started?
Oh gosh, in the early 70s, and it only lasted like 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And those buildings are all after that.
And it
The
looks,
ones at the top of the hill.
yeah, it looks like they just basically had a few runs.
Well, yeah, they had the one right beside the ski lift was the main run.
Okay.
And then another one farther. I walked over it with him and sort of helped him lay those out. And I guess there was a third one farther over yet. There's a little dark spot down there.
Yeah.
They were probably pretty narrow, but quite steep in the middle and, not that steep in the bottom. But it wasn't a great place for a ski resort. None of them were.
Yeah. Well, this one definitely, as far as the way the hill was faced, it was not
Well,
facing.
it faced east, which
Yeah.
was not as bad as facing west
Right. Um,
or south.
yeah. So this guy bought it, put in a T-bar, had a few runs, and
He built the chalet. It was quite it wasn't very modern, but it was like an industrial building.
yeah, I think I don't know if this is the foundation of where the chalet was, but it was at the bottom of the hill down here.
Well, that's the footprint for sure. I can't tell whether it's a building or ruins.
Right. Now, were you telling me that at one time did somebody that owned this property that was in the family also owned Twin Hearths and then Loretto?
Not Twin Hearths. Okay, I think I told you the people that bought 3 different ski resorts. It's a family, a Dutch family. I think there were 5 brothers, all of whom had made good bucks from what I gather in the groundskeeping business. I think they started in the US and came to Canada, but I'm not terribly sure. In any case, one of them bought Loretto, one of them bought Montclair, one of them bought Cedar Highlands.
Now,
They're brothers.
yeah, but when this originally started, is that one of these brothers?
No.
Okay. So
No, they bought it after Joe Namofsky went out of business.
okay, and that's pretty much
All of them were out of business when they bought them.
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So they basically went around and bought all these defunct.
Yeah, I don't know whether they liked skiing or what, but they had scads of money, and they were probably pretty good businessmen. And these ski resorts were going for peanuts.
Yeah. So would this have been in the like late 70s when this?
Um, well, it wasn't in the 80s, that's for sure. Again, I don't know how many years it lasted. I remember going there. Oh, the winter I lived at the Hockley Hills Hotel, which was, in receivership at that time. I went over there. I don't know why, but I went over there in the middle of the night on a sunny, moonlit night. Walked all the way across this 100 acres down to the chalet to look just to see what was going on. Again, the place was bankrupt at that point. I just wanted to go for a walk in the middle of the night. But subsequent to that, my wife or girlfriend Penny at the time, who was also living at the Hockley Hills, we went over there and we were about to, Dad and I were about to remove the T-bar. And I remember looking at it again. It was, I should know the dates of living at the Hockley Hills Hotel, but it wasn't any later than 78.
So did your dad buy the T-bar?
I think I mentioned this too. He only bought a ski lift when he had a sale for it.
Okay.
And I don't know where it went. There was a whole bunch of T-bars. I never knew where the heck they went.
Did you guys end up disassembling it?
I don't think we did that job,
Okay.
but we were some sort of a consultant in that. Again, Dad did the nuts and bolts, and he would have, God bless him, he would know more than I for sure, but he's gone.
So he basically facilitated the sale.
He was a broker, and
Yeah.
I don't think he was a wheeler dealer or anything like that, but he was a good businessman,
Yeah.
and he had connections, connections, connections.
Yeah. So they spent a lot of money excavating. If they all,
Well, they had big earth movers. That was a
yeah.
steep hill. They had to move like 1,000 tons of sand downhill to make that road. You
Yeah.
couldn't even get up it most of the time in the wintertime. They had to have a tow truck to haul people out of there on Saturday evening or Sunday evening. Often, not always, but
Yeah. Yeah. Because that definitely is steep.
well, okay, just an anecdote. North of that big clearing with all those buildings, that was part of the farm. It was called the Box Valley Farm. These
This right here.
two long string hundreds side by side. It was a 200-acre farm, and it called the Box Valley Farm. Also, the buildings at the bottom of the hill where the pasture and the fields were. You had to go down this huge hill. I remember driving up and down it many times, and it ended up becoming, sold. It was never a great farm, but they had a whole bunch of really nice log barns and a house. And some people from Toronto, psychiatrists, as I recall, bought it, made it into like a personal growth center. It was called Abraxas. I did some work for them and I knew them, etc.
Yeah. So here's the property lines here.
Yeah. So they owned the other side of that where that other clearing is.
Up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was their buildings right there.
I got you.
Yeah, it
Yes.
was famous locally. I don't know why, but the name kind of hit. It was boxed in. You didn't have road frontage, and in order to farm there, you had to build this road, by hand shovel and horse drawn whatever, up, 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 and it was a hell of a laneway. But with a horse and a team, you could get up it, and I guess a tractor later on. But the place was wonderful. A nice old house. Oh, I could tell you all sorts of stories about that here another time.
Yeah, but you can definitely see that where the T-bar would have came up here along the property line.
Oh no, wait a minute. You're going the wrong direction. I'm
Right,
sorry.
right
That's
here.
on the far side of it. Whoa, just a minute now. That's the line between you turned me around with your Google, but that is the line between the two properties. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. There's something wrong here.
This is the top of the hill. Here's the fourth line.
That's the top of the hill, and the bottom. It looks to me as though there's a swimming pool there, and I don't remember.
No, that's where the chalet was down here.
I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Okay, now I'm disoriented here. Yeah. Okay, so the very top of your picture is where Abraxas was. And
Yep.
those trees were all planted after I was there.
Yeah. I was just looking, you could see where there was some trails. So if you get off the T-bar at the top of the hill, you could ski right back down here.
Well, that was the main trail. That's where I told you I saw of the owner, Mr. Namaski Joe. He had his bombardier and a roller behind it. And he turned sideways and he went all the way down the hill, skidding sideways. His
Oh, wow.
trousers wouldn't hold on because he was just like skates.
Yeah,
It was hilarious.
I'm sure that got him excited.
I'm sure he shit his pants.
And then it looks like there were some other trails potentially through here.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I've never seen any of those buildings at the top of the hill. Never seen them.
Yeah, I'm sure that was all.
It looks like the typical rich person's homestead with the barns out somewhere else, and spread out and spend money.
Yeah. Did you ever ski there?
I don't think I ever skied at Montclair because I had better things to do.
Okay. So you said your dad sold them the T-bar they initially put
Yep.
in? Okay.
Yeah, well, he and I would have surveyed it. I do remember that.
Yeah.
I remember pouring the very tall footing at the top of the hill. The upper terminal sat up on top of a 8-foot high concrete tube, which I can explain later, but it
Okay.
did. And I remember seeing it poured, or I was there helping to supervise the pouring.
Gotcha. Well, I guess there's another one in the saga of the Lost Ski Hills that
Another one for the book.
yeah.